Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Marvel's Agents of S.h.e.i.l.d. Season 5, Episode 15. It's called Rise and Shine. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, I actually want to get my one kind of negative out of the way.
Oh, go on.
And I do mean, and I say kind of, in the sense that from an objective point of view, I just want to mention that it's weird. But I want to also acknowledge that it does not actually affect anything, because everything in this episode was so goddamn good it didn't matter.
Okay.
It's got a really weird structure.
Okay.
Really weird structure, because it does the whole thing where it's like, okay, we see Coulson's been taken to the base where Hale is, and it's like, okay, right, 2 years ago, or no, actually, no, first it was longer than that, because it was 20 years ago or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
it was Hale as a kid, right?
Yeah, Hale's a kid,
First.
and then it was 2 years ago because it was.
I think it was like 6 years ago. Was it? Or was it 6 months ago?
No, one was 2 years ago. It was like there was like a
Right.
couple of decades, and it was 2 years, then it was 6 months, then it was
Right.
24 hours or whatever. Right, it kept going in, but there was a 2 years one, which is relevant because you could kind of tell based on what they were referencing when it took place in the
Yeah.
show, because there was like references to things going on. But when this was all starting, I was like, okay, so it's one of these episodes, and I was expecting it to be the whole episode. So it was actually kind of weird when it got to like the final chunk, and it went okay now, and okay, we are seeing the rest of the team this episode just in the last like 5-10 minutes. Like I say, it's not a problem because everything was so goddamn good it didn't matter. Just a bit weird. I just want to acknowledge it.
No, I get that. Like maybe those scenes that we had at the end maybe should have just been in the next episode.
I don't know. They might be my favourite scenes of the episode, so I don't know if I even agree with that.
No, but that's the thing. I
Yeah,
agree that they're some of the best scenes and they're
yeah,
fantastic, but structurally they're like okay, they probably would have fitted better with other material next episode.
yeah, maybe. It was just a little bit strange. That's all. But again, like I say, it does not really detract from anything in the show in terms of what it's doing. Because
Yeah.
honestly, everything here was pretty great, and it was getting better as it went along as well.
Yeah.
Because we go a couple of decades ago, well, 3 decades, 4 decades ago, a long time ago, right? When Hale's a kid, Hale's a teenager, right? And she's waking up in essentially the same room that Ruby's in now, and she's got a uniform on, and we see that this is a school essentially. Like
Hydra School.
this is all the Hydra kids, and they're all here. And her friend is a young Sitwell, who, if you remember, he was in the show briefly. He was also in his biggest moment came in Winter Soldier because he had like a couple of proper scenes in that. But he had some cameos in movies before that. So he was kind of like this background Shield agent who was
Yeah.
around, and then turned out to be Hydra in Winter Soldier. Um, we see a kid version of him. There's also a kid Von Strucker there as well. And so there's some power plays going on there. Whitehall comes by at one point to give a speech to the kiddies. So it's all very interesting seeing how Hydra functions as a as a school.
Functioned more, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it functioned. Yes, and now they've got one student, but time there was a time when things were booming.
Yes.
What was really interesting when it went 2 years ago, and Ruby's like a teenager already, and it's like, okay, so this is post Winter Soldier here,
Yes.
but there's still like kids here, and we see there's less because this time in the classroom's only like half full. There's
But
definitely
it was
diminished.
packed before.
Yeah, but so it was interesting that I was interested in getting all these references. They reference Gideon and Malik at one point because when we see Talbot show up and like or try to arrest a general guy, but he commits suicide just as he's getting grabbed. They reference Gideon and Malik, and I was like, oh, that's nice. Obviously, I expect we might get a cameo from him as well had the actor not passed away.
Yeah,
You'd
probably.
imagine so. So no, all this is kind of fun. It's like, okay, right, again, go back to this season being like a sort of farewell to the show and like having all the greatest hits, and like this is again adding into that where all these things are being referenced and so on. But there's some interesting beats in here that I really like. I like that Hale as a teenager is all like, oh, I've got all these plans, and she outsmarts Von Strucker, and she's like, oh, I've got all these plans. Let's look to space. Let's look for, let's not just try and recreate the thing. Let's go to the source and get more of other things, and really, beat the enemy. And she thinks she's getting like a special because they're all waiting for their placement because they all get a because Sitwell gets his, oh, I'm going to Shield. I'm going to be a double agent of Shield, and he's kind of I don't know if I wanted that.
Yeah.
And she gets called into Whitehall, and he explains, all right, so we're trying to recreate the super soldier. We're trying to do our own Captain America, and it basically all boils down to, well, you're the only girl left. You have a vagina, so we want you to give birth, and that's what you're good for. It it was a really fascinating little scene for me because I felt like it was like, oh, she's part of the evil society and it's all about power, and she's got all these like dreams set on doing all these things, and she's really dedicated. But ultimately, even in Hydra, and it shouldn't be a surprise, but the sexism is like there, at a fundamental level.
It
where
is.
it's just,
It is.
no,
But
this is what you're good for.
It was also. It wasn't like. It was like, okay, you're the only candidate. Well, you'll do. It was no. You proved yourself. Like, it's like, yeah, you're smart, but you proved yourself. Okay, you can handle yourself in a fight. You got the attitude. It's like you're actually a good fit for what we're looking for.
But none of that
they're
matters.
saying. No, exactly.
None of that matters. You're a woman. You can give birth. That's all you're good for. Sure, you can go and like, do an assignment whilst we're trying to perfect the science behind this. But once it's time to get impregnated, that's what you're here for.
Yeah.
It was very diminishing, and you could sort of see, and she almost rebelled against it. She was, she's like, "Sir, but this and that." And he's like, well, "Do you question your orders?" And he's like, "Hail Hydra." Also, I love that later on Sky pointed out her name is Hail. Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
We should have seen it. We should have seen it coming.
She's right. She's right.
We should have seen it coming. So I really like that. But for me, where the episode really got great was when Talbot kind of came into it. Not so much when he first popped in, but when we cut to like after he's been shot.
Yeah.
And we see him in hospital, and he's like, he's having these mood swings. He's not quite right. He's getting angry at his son, and because Talbot's been such a funny comical character the entire time he's been on the show, and to see him in a serious scene like this where he's like struggling and he can't like maintain himself, and he's getting angry at his son, you're like, oh shit, he's actually messed up from this. Like, admittedly, most people who get shot in the head will probably be dead, so I guess he's luckier than some, but still, like, you feel the weight of the illness that he's now got. You feel that he can't control himself. He's not all there anymore.
Oh, definitely. It hit hard.
It hit hard. That said, he was still making some good jokes. He was cracking some one-liners because we've seen that Ruby does this thing. Like, Hale's got this little routine that she likes that people who wake up in the base go through. And we see him get up, he comes into the thing, and we see this happen with the Von Strucker kid when he first woke up here. But Talbot comes in and he's like, "Oh, I'm hungry," and he's like, he gets the captain crunch, like, "I still outrank you," and he's getting his cereal. That line cracked me up. But then Ruby comes in, ignores him with the headphones in, and it's like, okay, right, so this is the routine, and he's like, "Listen to me, young lady, you will not walk away from me," and he storms off after, and that leads down the thing. Of course, that plays off wonderfully when Coulson wakes up, and we see how he handles this later on, where he just does not give a shit. He just gets it. He's like, "Oh, okay, I get what this is. All right, when Hale's done playing games, come and I'll eat my cereal in my room."
Yeah, but I will take some of this breakfast because hey, I like some of this stuff.
Yeah, so it just cuts to Coulson just sitting eating his cereal in his bed, not giving a shit in the world. So I like that.
But even then, to the best moment with him.
With Talbot? Yeah, I know. This was heartbreaking. So obviously there's a lot of funny scenes because she brings them in and we find out that she's got this device that communicates, and the person she was talking to before in the last episode is an alien of some kind.
Yeah.
Someone from the Confederacy. That name's a bit on the nose, but...
Yeah, which they kind of address, though.
They do kind of address it, but they still picked that name. The writer still picked that name.
They did. And it's interesting, this device doesn't just seem to let them talk, it seems to actively teleport them.
Yeah, kind of. It's like I'm not sure if like they're physically there necessarily. I mean, I guess they kind of are.
They talk about talking face to face, so I think they are.
It's interesting. I don't know, but so they go to this like, weird room, and this guy's there who's not he's not a Kree, at least not seemingly, because he's not blue.
Yeah.
Well, at least he's not choosing to. Maybe he's disguising himself, but he's not at least appearing blue right now.
Right.
I mean, there's this big threat coming, and the Confederacy wants to like come in and like help or whatever, and obviously later on we find out Coulson's like, "Hey, what, you really just going to trust these guys? Like, you don't think something called the Confederacy might just turn around and slave us all?" It's like, well, of course I'm expecting that. That's why we're going to fight back, and we're going to do this.
That's why I'm coming to you in the first place, like teaming up. Come on.
That's why I want S.h.i.e.L.D. and Hydra to team up, and we'll get back to that. But a bit so she's telling us the Talbot, at least parts of it, and he's cracking all of his jokes because he's just learned that she's Hydra. But my favourite funny line actually might be when he's getting dragged out of the room. He yells at her, "I'll kick your cracking ass." I thought that was a good line. Talbot, even though he's not quite all there, he's still hitting it with these great one-liners. But the touching moment though is he's been dragged out. He's like, "Coulson's coming for me any minute now. S.h.i.e.L.D. are coming through that door. They're coming." And I'm like, oh my god, they've been like away for months.
I think this is the 6 months ago.
Yeah. This is
Flash,
6 months
and
ago.
but I was like, just the fact that Talbot's going, Coulson's coming for me.
It was like, it's because he's been so like opposed to him, but there's been this sort of like love-hate relationship, this sort of friendly rivalry between them. But he believes now he will come and he will save me,
Yeah.
and we know this is 6 months ago. We know that they don't, at least not until now.
They don't even know he's taken.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily their fault because they've been on a little adventure. And obviously, I did briefly think about like this 6 months, like how was this 6 months exactly? Because this 6 month accounts for the framework, and then the first half of season 5, which I don't think is 6 months to our group. I don't necessarily think we know exactly when they came back to, because they might have came back a few months later, if that makes sense.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
When they travelled back to present day, they might have actually travelled like 3 months later than they left, or something to that effect.
They might have done. So maybe it's been 6 months real time now.
Yeah, that's why I think if you have a problem with that, I think you can explain it with that. It's quite easy.
It is, yeah.
So, but no, that broke me. Was Talbot being dragged out of the room? I was like, oh man, like I feel really bad. Like I actually feel bad about this.
It's crazy.
Poor
I
Talbot.
never thought that was going to happen, did you?
No, you really didn't. And later on, when Ruby brings him in, and he's got the beard, and he's like, I'm sorry, Coulson. Like I held out as long as I could, but I had to tell him everything. I had to tell them, and he's not even angry at Coulson, but Coulson looks distraught that Talbot was here all this time and he's not came for him. Like,
Yeah.
I actually cannot wait until the jailbreak, however it happens, with Coulson getting his arm around him, like, right, come on. And we're going like, I feel like there's some touching moments still to come from this potentially.
I agree.
Especially if Talbot ends up sacrificing himself,
Which I can see, which is going to be really. I hate to watch it, but he'll be like, everyone thinks I'm dead anyway. I might as well.
This is why this show is a cut above a lot of other network stuff, and even some cable stuff. Actually, to be honest, is a character like Talbot is now someone I care about.
Absolutely.
I care. Like I'm upset that he's not. He thought he was going to get saved, and he's not been saved.
Yeah. And do you know what is really impressive? I didn't realize I cared until this episode.
Yeah.
Like, it was always been fun, but then I was in the hospital. I was like, oh man, that's quite heavy. And then when he's going, no, Coulson's coming, I was like, oh god damn, that really hit.
Yeah, it hits you in the pit of your stomach.
And I was
moment.
like, oh shit, I actually care about this guy now. When did that happen?
And again, the show's fantastic. Don't jump in from something really funny like the "I'll kick your cracking ass" to the Coulson's coming for me. In the space of about 3 seconds, you go from laughing to oh god, and that's what makes it work because you care. He's a human being, and it's just it works so well. And then we get to Coulson like waking up 24 hours ago, and he ignores Ruby, and Hale comes and explains everything, and I love actually when he mentions when she mentions Whitehall, I think she mentions, and he's like, oh, I killed him.
Yeah, I buried him, I think it was.
Yeah, I buried him. Go team. Yeah, because they're still talking about teaming up. He's like, go team.
Yeah. Her face.
That was pretty good. But so she explains the whole thing. They go talk to the alien dude. And it's like, okay, so this threat's coming, and that's why she wants gravitonium, is because they're still developing, like, sure. So Ruby's basically the Hydra's newer version of the super soldier, and she's like, this badass, she's really good at all this stuff. But emotionally, she's maybe not ready to actually go through the final phases, which is to go into this chamber with the gravitonium and enhance all her powers.
Yeah, she's done all the training. She's like peak physical standard now, but she's not super enhanced yet, I don't think.
Yeah. And Joe, I want to say, I actually think her casting makes way more sense now.
Yeah?
Yeah, because she's got this thing, like, when she first appeared, like, she had presence, but she kind of looked like the... And as I understand it, someone told us in the comments, actually, she's been on some Disney Channel stuff before now. That's where
I told you that in the
Did you
first
tell me
episode that she popped up, yeah.
Okay, fair enough, you told me that. I like to credit the commenters more than I like to credit you.
Yeah, clearly.
So, but the point I'm making is that she's got this kind of like teeny bopper, like, it girl look to her, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know if this is necessarily the perfect fit for this ultra badass, right? I don't know if I necessarily look at her face and think, oh, like, she's going to kick my ass, right? And I think the idea that she's supposed to be this perfect specimen, but there's something off about her, because she is like, she's got that it girl thing, but there is something off. Like, she's almost like too. It's like an alien came in, decided to try and make what a perfect human's supposed to look like, but it feels off. It's like an uncanny valley thing. And I realize as I'm saying this, I'm probably really insulting this actress as I'm doing this, but there's just like something.
I don't know. I think you're basically complimenting her because you're like, yeah, no. you're really great, but you because I assume this is just her acting that it's off. Yeah, I'm
Oh, maybe.
sure
Yeah,
often
maybe.
because
Yeah.
so I'm assuming that's what it is. She's putting the presents on, which makes you think that.
Yeah, just a little bit off, and it's actually working for me now that I know that she's supposed to be this specimen that was perfected, and
Yeah, her whole life has just
yeah,
been all right. You were literally born and grown to be this thing.
yeah. So I think that works, and obviously as she's saying all this, the way put her in the gravitonium and make her more powerful, I'm like, oh god, this is how the world gets destroyed. And then she's like, what about your Daisy Johnson? And of course I'm like, Coulson, say no, this is how she gets powerful enough to break the world in half. And then she's like, oh, by the way, that'd be really fitting as well because we named this project the Destroyer of Worlds. And I'm like, come on.
Right, prediction time.
And of course Coulson quite rightly starts screaming and saying, no, you crazy bitch, let's not do that, I've been to the future. Which, by the way, right, so she has a device that transports us across the universe to talk to an alien, but time travels too far. Especially
Yeah,
since she knows that Deke is, well, maybe she doesn't know for sure that he's their grandson, but
he knows there's a relation of some
yeah.
sort. Yeah.
So I don't know, I feel like maybe she should be a little bit more open-minded than she is, but whatever.
So theory time.
Okay.
Neither Daisy or Ruby are going to be the Destroyer Worlds.
Okay.
At least in the original timeline that we saw. Maybe it'll change because that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Coulson. Here's the reason. So the yo-yo in the future said, let Coulson die. You can't save him. He's the
That's right,
start of
yeah.
all this. But I'm thinking, okay, they're going right. The whole point of these super soldiers is, they enhance everything about you. So Coulson, oh, he's a good person. Well, let's enhance that. And as a byproduct, it might save his life because he's dying. So I can see that being how like they can talk him into it almost to save his life.
Maybe. I'm not. The bit you lost me on a little bit here is what it's enhancing in him. There's nothing to enhance. He's not got any abilities.
So it didn't matter with Captain America, did it?
Well, no, but that part's already been done. Like this, like she's like, Ruby's already like Captain America enhanced.
Yeah, yeah, but I
I
imagine
don't
the
know.
whole process.
I just, what I'm.
I don't know if she's. See, I wasn't getting the idea that she was Captain America advanced.
Oh, she absolutely is. She cut off a speedster's arms
I mean,
mid run.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
absolutely like super soldier esque.
Okay, okay.
I don't know.
I don't think.
I just what I'm thinking this gravitonium chamber thing is going to do. I don't think it does something to a regular person
You don't think?
outside of maybe kill them because it'll just. I don't know.
Maybe, maybe.
I mean, you could be right. The whole Coulson thing. Now, I could see it swerving into that in other ways. That's the only part of your theory there that I hiccup on is that link doesn't work for me. But I can see that working out based on what she said about Coulson. That said, the alternative theory to that is more just that Sky trying to be leader and and she's getting really stressed and she's almost willing to do anything to save him is kind of what leads to
Yeah.
the destruction of the world and all the rest of it.
That is very possible as well. But I'm just trying to subvert this Destroyer Worlds thing in another way. And maybe the thing you're having a problem with is just my misunderstanding of how this process is working.
Not that I have a concrete understanding myself because they've not really shown us it yet. Or
right, so you could be right though.
because the way I'm seeing this is that it'll like super enhance the person to the point where they can take care of it. So in Sky's sense, it will supercharge her powers to ridiculous extents. Hence why she might be able to break the world in half. Of course, we're expecting to break the loop because that's what the story of the season has to be. But it's just how they do that. So yeah, and then that's when obviously Ruby comes to see Coulson and brings in Talbot, and we get Coulson looking genuinely concerned that Talbot's went through this, and also what exactly has he told her? What information did Talbot have about S.h.e.i.l.D. that he's worried about
Talbot
now?
doesn't know everything, of course, because
Yeah,
they didn't tell him
he
everything.
doesn't know about the lighthouse for a start, so it's not like they shouldn't garner a location from him. Yeah, at least in that sense. But they might have garnered other things. Also, I like how I think at one point someone says to her like, "Oh, that was a robot. That wasn't Daisy." He's like, "Ah, it doesn't matter. It was still S.h.i.e.L.D. that created the LMDs. It's still their fault."
Yeah, because I think Talbot straight up says, "That wasn't her. That was an LMD." She's like, "Yeah, I know, but they created it."
Yeah, no, I like
Just
that.
tries to twist it at him. It's like, yeah, but they still did it anyway.
Yeah, I know. Also, at one point, Coulson refers to the Russian dude as Ivan Drago, and I need to give points for that too.
Yeah, yeah,
There you give points. Um, so that gets us to the Shield portion of the episode, which is the final like 8-10 minutes kind of section.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, going back to Shield's thing, where it can give us something really serious and then go to funny really quickly. Did that to even more perfection in this final
Yep.
chunk of the episode because Sky's frustrated. She's trying to figure out where Coulson's went, where Hale is. They're trying to track her, and she can't do it. And May basically has the idea: let's go talk to Fitz because Fitz is technically or kind of a supervillain, and maybe we can get some insight. And Meg is in herself, and she talks to Fitz, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to like apologize." Whatever. He's like, "No, I'm not asking you to apologize. You forget I was also Hydra in there. I actually kind of understand the
Yeah,
weird duality of your brain right now. I
yeah. They
get
can
it."
relate.
Yeah, which is actually the thing I liked as well is that Mac as well with Simmons like try to explain to her. He's like, yeah, I mean I know you went into the framework, but for those of us who were there in the fake lives, like it's kind of different. Like even though he was a good version of himself in there,
He still has all these different memories of
yeah,
his whole other life.
he kind of understands the way he thinks about his fake version of his daughter. He kind of understands how Fitz is kind of struggling with it.
Yeah.
To an extent, and you could argue that Fitz as well because of that old injury from the ocean, like is also
Yeah,
playing with it. And,
this hasn't helped.
yeah, this is like sort of opening those old wounds and multiplying and whatnot. But she's like, I want you to embrace it. I want you to, look at this. And he starts thinking about, okay, we need to figure out what she actually wants to do. What's her goal before we can understand how Coulson's going to be involved and whatnot. And he's like, look, I can't do anything in here. Just give me like some computers and some lab time and whatever. And Daisy comes in like storming, like we're not letting you out here. And May's like, hey, still on her side, come on. And he's like, don't you defend him, not to me. And I'm like, damn it, like this makes me uncomfortable. It's like watching your family fight, like, but except you actually care about your family, right? And it's a joke, people. Go with it. And like, but at the same time, like, she deserves to be angry at him right now.
Oh, absolutely.
She was held down. She was violated. Like that. She deserves every amount of anger she has right now.
It's the point where Fitz says, I had no choice, and she
Yeah.
flips. It's like, no, I had no choice.
Yeah, and she quakes at him, and it's like, look, I'm sorry, but I don't need your forgiveness. I just need you to trust me. Like you're still being a little bit cold, but it's very sort of logical, right?
Yeah.
But what I love about this moment as well is like, yeah, we don't turn on each other here on this side, and then he's like, do you want me to recount the multiple ways you've turned on us in the past? And like her, and as much as I'm totally on her side for pretty much here, right? That line where she's like, oh, we don't turn on each other on this side, and then he says that, I'm like, yeah, you just get taken off your high horse just a little bit. Because
Yeah,
the look in her face
he
is
is
like,
kind of right.
it's like, shit, I can't actually have a comeback for that because I have kind of betrayed everyone a couple of times. And do you know what I love about that? Is that obviously it works in the scene as a sort of as a moment breaker, right? To sort of break her combo, if you will. But what I love about it is I feel like shows like this don't typically acknowledge their past like this.
No, it's true.
This is legitimately acknowledging the entire history of these characters and saying, hey, look, I messed up, but we forgive you when you messed up a couple of times. And this might be bigger than that, and it is definitely, like, what he's done to her is worse than anything she's ever done to him. It absolutely is. But
is it worse than everything she's ever done added up together?
it possibly might be. But
It might be, yeah.
But the point being is that don't necessarily pretend that you're completely innocent, and don't pretend that we can't come back from this because we've come back from a lot of other things. And it's just, so it was an interesting scene in that sense. Although what he does say, he mentions like fortune teller kind of sarcastically, unless we've got a fortune teller, blah blah. So she's off to go talk to the girl,
Yes.
Robin. She's off to go talk to her.
Who's with Hunter and Bobby, in theory.
In theory, yeah. And yeah, but so Simmons talking to Mac, and she hears about Yo because they're operating on Yo-Yo. She's getting her robotic arms. She doesn't wake up, but she's got robotic arms, and she hears this whole theory that Yo-Yo thinks she's invincible because she knows she's meant to be alive in the future.
Yeah.
And it gives her an idea, so she goes to Fitz, and she's like, "Hey," he whips out a little tool. He's like, "Hey, remember this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I marked things on this because when my mind was messed up, I couldn't remember which was which, so I marked numbers on everything." It's like, "Yeah, that's not yours. This is yours." And there's like two of them. It's like, that was Deke's that he got from his grandfather. And this is what I'm talking about, going from that ultra dramatic scene where I'm like so engrossed in like the Sky Fitz argument where like, you know, it's so high stakes and everything, they're so justified in what they're saying, especially Sky. And then it comes to this scene and he has that moment of realization, like, he's my grandson. Yep. But he's the worst. And then Simmons like sort of like kneels down next to him and says, "Well, I think he's wonderful." And then the look in Fitz's face for the next like 5 seconds after she says that is just like is glorious. And even so she keeps talking for a bit, and then eventually, no, it doesn't mean that we're okay. It means that our daughter is going to, you know, get together.
Marry a space scoundrel.
Some buffoonious space scoundrel, and she's going to give birth to a deek. The delivery, like, this is the thing, like, Fitz after the last episode was like, oh man, this is so serious, everything with him's going to be, like, depressing and sad, and it was up until this point, and then all of a sudden he was making me laugh so much.
Yeah. And do you know what I love about this scene so much? Is the whole point of when Simmons learned, oh, the yo-yo thinks she's invincible, she's like, oh, wait, so she doesn't believe that we can change it, because, you know, otherwise she's not invincible. If we change it, she's not. And then she comes to Fitz and goes, yeah, we're invincible. And it kind of says, okay, does she believe that they can change it now? Like, is she kind of lost that faith? Or is she just saying this to make Fitz what he needs to hear?
I don't think it's that she's lost the faith. I don't even necessarily think it's what he needs to hear. I mean, I know she says literally, we're invincible. But I think it's even that even if they are going to change it, even if you believe we can change this, in the previous version of the timeline where this presumably still happened, we still worked out okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's still like a hope there, even from that. I am a little bit worried, though. All this talk of being invincible makes me convinced that one of them's going to die.
Someone's dead, yeah. And I feel I don't think it's going to be Yo-Yo. Because as much as she's the one being so reckless, I think it'll be more a case of someone might die because she's so reckless.
Yeah,
she overlooks something, but I think she'll have to live with the consequence of it.
Here's the thing. Here's the little wormhole out of this. I was thinking about this. And I was thinking of this because of Back to the Future Part 3. Now, bear with me. So in Back to the Future Part 3, the big problem is when they go back to 1885 is that the DeLorean's out of gas. It's not because obviously the first movie's all about, oh, we need 1.21 gigawatts of electricity to power the thing. Now, that's easy now. We get Mr. Fusion, which is just all, you know, futuristic tech. Unfortunately, we don't have that yet because energy would be so much cheaper. But that doesn't power the actual motor. That just powers the time travel part. So the trouble in the third movie is we have to get up to 80 miles per hour, and we can't, you know, they try pulling by horses, we can get up to like 40 or whatever, nowhere near close, right? The only hope ends up being the train to push them, and it's like, okay, right. However, one of and they've always explained this with a line of dialogue, but one of the little plot holes that you could point at that movie is that Doc Brown in that time period already buried the DeLorean he came back in for the Marty in 1955 to find later on. So, at the very least, you could assume that maybe there's some gasoline in that car that they could go to the cave and get, if there is any in the tank. They could always have explained it and said, no, it's empty already. Fair enough. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, because we have that with Fitz. There's a Fitz sleeping with, what's his face? Enoch,
yeah, there is.
So we could theoretically change the timeline, this Fitz could die, and then sleeping Fitz could be woken up.
That's true. That would be fascinating to go through and basically play that reset, because from everyone else's side of things, they're married.
Yeah, but he's not.
Sky, you know, for Sky, it'll be, oh man, you just did all this stuff to me, but you haven't done that yet.
Yeah, and the funny thing is all the reasons why he had that psychotic break would still be in play, because he still went through the framework, he still had all this history, all that stuff is still there, but he just hasn't went through time and done the whole...
The pressure of the... whatever it is that triggers this, you know, the pressure of trying to solve the problem.
Yeah. Because part of me is thinking, like, how does he actually win Sky back over outside of, like, sacrificing himself for the cause? And maybe that's, like... You know, she'd finally forgive him in that moment, maybe, because, you know,
that's true.
Like, I mean, I don't want Fitz to die, but like, I'm just
all the others. Do they know where the sleeping Fitz is, or how to get to the sleeping Fitz?
Hunter might.
That's a fair point. Hunter might,
because he was around with them.
Yeah,
Yeah, so possibilities.
I can see it. Yeah,
I'm just saying the door is there. If they want to walk through that door, it's there.
it is, and it's possible because
Because if
like I said, I don't think it's gonna be Yo-Yo. Fitz is likely, given this all this stuff.
because if they change the timeline, then he no longer has to stay asleep and wake up in the future because that's
They
never
don't
going to
need him
happen.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm just putting that out there. That
no,
possibility's there.
it's a
Uh,
fair point.
Unfortunately, Fitz does seem like the likely one to die because he has so much to atone for now.
Yeah, plus they love giving us shit with Fitzsimmons.
They do. They do.
It's a classic season ending.
And of course, the one time she says they're invincible, because they're always in so much doubt because everything keeps breaking them up, so they always bring that up. And the fact that they are now saying they're invincible means now they're screwed. Now they're actually screwed,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But hey,
God
obviously,
damn it, I hate this show.
I'm hoping for the happier ending, of course. Always, always,
Yeah, I'm always
always.
hope for it, but I never expect it on this show.
Yeah. Which is why it feels so good when they give it to us. Because as much as they've put us through so much with Fitz and Simmons, it always comes back round, and we always end up
It
happy
does.
eventually.
It does. It's up and down constantly.
But no, so obviously I don't think this episode was as big as flashy with its twist and the big like sort of final 10 minutes from last week. But I do think almost everything, and almost as it was going on, got better and better. Like every single scene almost had something really good, and it kept building on it.
Yeah, I think last week had that last 10 minutes was some of the best of the season. But I think this might be a better episode overall in the sense that it's much more consistent. It builds much more naturally.
Yeah.
Overall, it feels stronger. Whereas last week, like, those parts where I'm going, okay, this is fine, and then suddenly it's in, okay, this is the best.
Yeah, yeah. So point I'm making though is just that not even to compare it to last week, just to because I feel like last week has that big money moment, and because of that, like that'll be favoured upon a bit more. I feel like this one's actually a lower key, a fantastic episode that maybe
Agreed.
won't be acknowledged for it as much.
Yeah, it feels like it could get overlooked because it's 75% of it is kind of, oh, this is the villain episode almost.
Kind of, yeah. But so much of it works so well. Everything with Talbot, everything with Fitz, like all of that stuff is
Yeah.
gold. I
Yeah.
love it so much. So yeah, so that's where we leave off. And
I just say we're assuming all this. Oh, there's a threat coming. We're assuming this is just the Kree, right? This has nothing to do with Thanos.
yeah, I'm assuming it's going to tie into Cassius's father.
Yeah. That the
Yeah.
future stuff, not anything to do with the movies.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I mean, I suppose if you want to tie it into the movie a little bit, they could say that the threat coming is Thanos, and the Confederacy is the Kree. And once they've like tied into the movie slightly, but then the movie deals with it, then it's the Confederacy that was going to be the problem in the future.
Yeah, it could be like the Confederacy almost come in. It's like, yeah, no. In return, we're taking your planet essentially.
Yeah.
It's like we saved it. We saved you from Thanos. So
I don't know how exactly they do that, but I'm just thinking if they want to do a little bit of both, they could sort of say that maybe.
Yeah. We have got some episodes of this after Infinity War,
We do
right?
have 3 or 4.
That's what I thought. So it's possible.
Yeah. It's funny though. I like for the first time, I'm almost hoping they maybe don't, because if this is the end of the show, I kind of want them just to focus on their thing.
Yeah. See, the only way I will like it is if, okay, the threat coming is Thanos. That's fine. And the Confederacy, they're saying, "Oh, we'll help you out, and we'll give you defenses, but in return, you'll owe us a favor, basically."
I think that largely depends on what the Avengers 4 is going to be, because if the whole thing's not going to be resolved until Avengers 4, then it can't tie in really.
It can't. No.
It just has to be all set before that, and it's just its own thing, which is fine. Which is completely fine.
It is. We'll see in a month or so.
Yep, yeah, it won't be that long till we find out. So that is Agents of S.h.e.i.l.D. Also, apologies. This was later than normal. I usually say that at the start if we were late, but this was a day or so later than usual. Just blame Connor basically in the comments. It's fine.
I will take half the blame on this one.
No, you don't get to give me half blame on this. You do not.
You're taking some blame.
No. The only reason why the backup time was then delayed by me is because that went so far back because you were so late that it became physically impossible. So don't give me it.
Look, I'm just saying, it was not entirely just me.
99% you.
I'll take 80.
90.
I'll give you 85 tops.
89.
No. Come on, 85. That's very reasonable.
89.
You do not know how to haggle.
No, if I start going down, you're not going to go up anymore. So no, 89.
Exactly, 85.
You want me to
That's
budge down a
firm
percent?
line.
You have to budge up a percent. That's how this works.
Oh, but no, we're not moving anymore. We've come up. This is where we should land. This is the natural end point.
No. Where you've picked is where you think it should end.
Look, everyone knows when you haggle, you already know the end point before you even start. You just go through the motions like, this is the end point. Let's just stop here and be done with it.
Oh my god. Anyway, so apologies this was later than usual. We should be back to our normal time next week. But that is us. So let us know what you thought of this episode of S.h.e.i.l.D. Fantastic episode. In the comments below, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. There's a link in the description. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?